Today, of course, was a huge event for the country, the Coronation, and yet we did see that there were pockets of protest and what appears to have been a peaceful protest. Some arrests were made. Ed Davies just said to us he thinks that you have changed the atmosphere, that you are trying to clamp down on perfectly legitimate protests. What do you say to that?
Well, can I first just start by saying what an amazing event it was? You know, Britain on the world stage, huge advert for global Britain, and I think it was a phenomenal event of which I was incredibly proud to be a part of and proud to be British. And I spoke to a number of people who said the same thing. So I think a fantastic event. Look, this right to protest is really important. We live in a democracy, and it's really important that people feel a right to be heard and are heard. But what we've seen over the last few years is a change in tactics of protesters. We've seen them stopping people going about their day-to-day business, whether that's going to school, being able to go to hospital, being able to go to work, being able to commute and go on motorways. And I think what we've needed to do is redress that balance, because people also have a right to live their day-to-day lives. And that's what we've done, is brought in legislation to redress that balance and get the right balance.
But are you concerned, you know, as a Conservative, and it's an important political tradition in this country that people have the right to protest, are you concerned that sometimes the balance might be wrong in that? Because it's one thing causing disruption, like some protests that we've seen in the last couple of years that you've referenced there, but some activists and campaigners and the Liberal Democrats and some other politicians worry that actually the general right to protest is being eroded.
Well, I regularly see protests. I mean, obviously, I work in the Houses of Parliament, and I walk through a protest or two or maybe three every day along Parliament. I think that is a fundamental right. We do need to make sure we get that balance right. And I do think it was right to bring in legislation. The police asked us for more powers. People's day-to-day lives were being affected. And I think it's absolutely right that we stand up for those people who want to go about their daily business.
And you back the action the police took yesterday?
So the police, as you know, Laura, are operationally independent, and they will have made tough calls yesterday. I mean, you will have seen that there were large protests taking place. The police were aware of those protests and they let them happen. But they will have made operational decisions on a case-by-case basis as to what steps they should have taken. And I know that they took into account, and I think they were quite right to take into account, the context of the event as a whole. We were on the global stage. There were 200 foreign dignitaries in the UK, in London, at an event. Millions of people watching, hundreds of thousands of people at the scene. I think it was really important that they took that into account when making their decisions.
Okay. Now, it's the first time you've come in here as Culture Secretary, so we want to do a bit of